Hi, my name is Hannah Beks. I'm a research fellow working with Deakin Rural Health, and we're funded through the Australian Government's Rural Health Multidisciplinary Training Program. And we've been working on a body of work as part of a broader program focused on engaging older people and carers in participatory health research through the Deliver program, and that's funded through the MRFF Rapid Research Funding. So it's wonderful to be able to present some of the findings from our narrative review. And the purpose of this review was to identify from the literature and the peer review literature, that is, strategies to translate the recommendations of the Royal Commission into Aged Care, Quality and Safety through research into practice. And as you'd be aware, some of the recommendations from the Royal Commission advocated for a greater involvement of older persons and their carers in research through methods such as co-design. And participatory health research is really a broad framework for undertaking research, and co-design can be part of that. And the idea of being a co-researcher, it's someone who is has the same standing as other researchers, be it academic or clinical researchers or community researchers in your project. So this is where this term sort of co-researchers comes from. So the idea is to move beyond having older people and their carers be maybe consulted as part of a research process to being elevated as a co-researcher where there's a bit more equity and a balance of power in theory. So in terms of what we found with our review, we found that we were able to sort of group the strategies that we retrieve from the literature search within four general principles. The first being the importance of including opportunities in your project for older persons and their carers to gain new skills as a co-researcher, be it in research or project management or these sorts of things. It's and sort of that link to the idea of reciprocity. The second was to ensure co-researcher roles were properly defined, because we know within whatever role you work in, role ambiguity can be quite stressful. So having some clear parameters around roles and the expectations of those roles was important. The third principle we identified was the importance of having a personalised and flexible approach to engagement of co-researchers in projects, and being mindful of what's going on in the lives of people that are a bit broader than the project, and making sort of any sort of amendments to how things are done in response to that, and allowing sufficient time to develop rapport between all co-researchers, being your older people and their carers, and your academic researchers, your clinical researchers, and having a bit of time over a cup of tea to allow that process for developing rapport. The broader review, we published this as a perspectives brief through the Deeble Institute. So the pink link there, you can click on that and that will take you to the full paper where you'll be able to identify all the things we've found. But in a nutshell, we grouped some of the strategies around some key considerations to optimise engagement of older people and their carers as co-researchers. And we grouped these around different phases of a research project. So, for example, study design, recruitment, setting, data collection, data analysis, and sharing research. And we know that research isn't always or at any point a linear process, and can be quite iterative, particularly participatory research. So, for example, under recruitment, we identified the need to recruit your co-researchers from a really broad network of groups. So you've got the diversity, and that will allow a bit of a richness of perspectives which are brought to your research, which we believe can only enrich your process. The second thing we identified, which is really important, is acknowledging from the outset that older people and their carers are not a homogenous population. Indeed, there is diversity, there's intergenerational differences. People might be experiencing some cognitive impairment or comorbidities or complex conditions. You might be wanting to engage older people or their carers from First Nations groups, and there might be cultural considerations, or from culturally, linguistically diverse communities, or from geographically diverse communities. So people from rural or remote areas, which will have some issues of access that you might have to consider in thinking about how you're going to undertake your work. So the conclusions of our review identified some implications for policy research and practice, and these included the need for policymakers and practitioners from the outset of their work to consider barriers and enablers of engaging older people and their carers in health research, and also in participatory health research as co-researchers. And in response to this, the need to implement targeted strategies in your research or your project to optimise engagement of older persons and their carers as co-researchers. And these also needed to consider older persons and carers from different population groups or geographical areas, and some of those groups we touched on in the previous slide. And the landing point is, in order to translate the findings of the Royal Commission into practice, we do need to move beyond consultation. So maybe just engaging at different points in your project, some feedback from older people and their carers, to working as co-researchers. So working alongside each other from project conception to conclusion, and having that reciprocal arrangement where we sort of balance these issues of power and we're all on an even playing field. So I'd just like to briefly acknowledge the source of the funding for this broader program of work, and also my co-authors who have contributed to this work as well. My email address is there if there's any questions, but look forward to learning a little bit more about everyone's research as well. Okay, thank you, and bye for now.